Okay, so made an homebrew batch of active baking yeast, and in this case, Knudsen sparkling grape juice. So it turns out that when juice is sparkling, the CO2 acts as the preservative, and since there's no preservative and it's grapes grown in Oregon, they are basically grown organic grapes. So it immediately started fizzing from yeast growing and producing CO2, and it rapidly was producing bubbles and fizzing from the afternoon and overnight. And this morning, the fizzing had pretty much stopped. It was barely there. So I decanted the juice, and there was yeast in the bottom, but with baking yeast, it pretty much just like mixes in with the grape juice or whatever juice you're using. I tasted it. I drank like a small cup of it, and I'd say it's maybe like between 1 to 2% alcohol. And then I put the rest in the fridge to decanter it and or rack it or whatever they call it. I don't know, but it'll settle out some of the rest of the yeast. Last night I had 4 big heaping spoonfuls of cocoa, and cocoa, I realized from my research, it has tryptamine in it. So if you have a baking cocoa, is what I used, which has the highest amount of cocoa in it. Um, you get enough tryptamine where I get really like psychedelic dreams, and this by psychedelic dreams I mean um what's it called? This, where you have all the senses combined together, and they're very vivid, but they tend to also be sort of like hyper frenetic, where they're like going at light speed and combining a lot of different. I mean, there's a lot of visual imagery, but the like content of it is very frenetic, and um, basically, it's your subconscious that's like coming out in full blown psychedelic action. So that's just from doing cocoa, and cocoa was sacred in Central America when it was combined with mushrooms. So there's definitely the tryptamine definitely does activate psychedelic vision in for dreams, but it's still nothing compared to meditation. And as I mentioned before, I had precognitive dreams come true recently. I had, I'm thinking just off the top of my head, one, two, three. I think I had 4 maybe precognitive experiences recently. Definitely had 3 of them, and they're very prominent, precognitive experiences. So when I say precognitive dreams, I'm talking about like that take place over an hour of living or a couple hours of living, in a sequential manner. So the dream is not as much psychedelic as it is just from the future. So you're reliving this dream that I already had. And the thing is that you start to just get this uncanny sensation when you're what I call a glitch in the matrix, where you're re-experiencing something you've already dreamt. And it doesn't really, it just starts, you start to get a strange feeling as you're experiencing it. And then it takes maybe half a day for it to click all together where you're like, oh yeah, I remember this dream now. And so the problem is that precognitive dreams are, they're pretty, like, it took me a while to figure out, well, what does this mean? Does it mean that the future is predetermined? Or, I'm thinking, because if it's predetermined, that's kind of, that's, it means we don't have free will essentially. But what we're really talking about here is that being alive is also a type of dream, and the true self of who we are is neither the future nor the past. It's this formless awareness that cannot be seen. It inherently cannot be observed or perceived. And this is what the quantum proto-consciousness is really telling us in science. So that this realm of proto-consciousness is it is an instantaneous action at a distance, as proven by Bell's inequality. And when you have that instantaneous action at a distance, you're able to then have the future overlap with the past. And so you can access that realm through meditation and then get these precognitive dreams that I call, glitches in the matrix. And I used to meditate a lot more. And so now I've been meditating pretty much as least as possible. I mean, I still wake myself up from my dreams when they, become, my subconscious starts taking over. So I wake myself up to like become conscious of my dream, while awake, go into horse stance, spring out of my dream, go into horse stance, and sublimate my consciousness back up to the third eye. And then I try to do full lotus, small universe meditation in the morning if I wake up early enough, but that's doesn't happen a lot of the time, maybe half of the time. And the main reason is that, well, precognitive dreams are really trippy, and they're not an alternate state of consciousness. And nevertheless, they teach you very strongly that the truth of reality is not your waking state, nor is it the future. It is this formless awareness realm that people traditionally called, God or the cosmic mother. I prefer the cosmic mother, the great void. And Professor Robert M. Price gave a great talk last night on History Valley about that Bible verse from Philippians that says that Jesus emptied himself out. And he said how this referred to this Gnostic view of the great void in reference to Sophia not being able to empty herself out completely because the limited, and the limited is the direct reference to music theory in Platonic philosophy as the square root of two. So the definition of aperon got changed from the Pythagorean Eastern or non-Western great absolute void into the square root of two as irrational magnitude, as materialistic idealism, as the secret core foundation of Freemasonry and Platonic philosophy and Christianity as Gnosticism. So it's pretty fascinating that is the secret meaning of Philippians chapter 2, verses 6 to 11, what's called Christ's hymn. It's considered to be a quote by whoever wrote Paul. It's an ancient Greek teaching, and it's like a core teaching of Christianity. It's basically a little summary. It's just like a concise summary of the teaching of Christianity. So anyway, I'm going to leave it at that, and continue. You can think of exercise, like extreme exercise, as another altered state of consciousness, but that's part of the training of the shamanistic training